Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. After the flyover, we will be playing the Armed Forces Medley, so I'll ask veterans from each branch of the service to stand. Here it comes.
Here it is, folks. Okay, if everybody could please be seated. And every year, the Condor Squadron, Veterans Day and Memorial Day is sponsored by Cusimano Realty Group. So thanks very much to Cusimano Realty Group for their support. Very, very much appreciated. Okay, we're going to do the Armed Forces Medley by the Burbank Community Band. So when you hear your branch of service theme song, please stand and be recognized. U.S. Army, yeah.
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard. Rich Payne is in the house.
Marines.
Happy birthday, belated birthday to the Corps. 247 years old yesterday.
The Air Force.
U.S. Air Force.
The Navy.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the City of Burbank and the Burbank Veterans Committee Veterans Day ceremony for 2022. Let's have a nice hand again for the Burbank Community Band for the wonderful music and the wonderful rendition of all the service theme songs. And I'm going to ask all veterans just recently stood up, so we can all stand up again, to stand up and be recognized. God bless each and every one of you. And if you're here for the first time, that goes for anybody, welcome. We hope you come back to many, many more ceremonies. We get good weather every year. I remember 34 years ago today when we dedicated the Vietnam and Korean War memorials. 34 years. And a lot of us have been here for every single one of the ceremonies since. And for that, we're blessed. And we remember the people that have gone on to a better place, and keep all veterans in your thoughts and prayers today. And this is great to be here. And we're going to be having the presentation of colors by the Burbank Scouts Troop 219. And then we'll have the national anthem to be sung by Heidi Marie Farron, and the flag salute by Deborah Dodge.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free
Please join me in the flag salute. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Color guard, post for colors. Color guard be formed. Color guard dismissed.
Be seated, please. That was Troop 209. My mistake. I said 219. That was Troop 209. Once again, let's give a nice hand to the Boy Scouts. It's always great to have the youth of our community involved. And one other quick thing. Are there any active duty personnel here today? If you are, please stand and be recognized. You know, we want to remember the active duty people too, so I don't want to leave anybody without mention. Guard and Reserve. Any Guard and Reserve personnel? If you're out there, thank you for your service. And I know you hear that a lot, but we always support our troops. And now for the invocation, my colleague on the Veterans Committee and a Vietnam vet, David Christ. David?
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, watch over our veterans of our country in the recognition of their loyal service to our nation. Bless them with wholeness and love. Shelter them, heal their wounds, comfort their hearts, and grant them peace. Bless our Burbank veterans, these men and women of courage and valor with deep and abiding understanding of our profound gratitude. Protect them and their families. Grant them lives of joy and bounty. May their dedication and honor be remembered as a blessing from generation to generation. We ask you to be with us today as we celebrate and honor all veterans. In your mighty name, amen.
And now to sing God Bless America, Heidi Farron.
As we know, Pat normally does this, and she always has everyone sing along. So in her honor, can everybody please join in and sing at the top of your lungs?
God bless America. The light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. One more time. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Beautiful, Heidi. Thank you so much. And Heidi did mention Pat Wamsley. She was on her way here today to sing God Bless America, and they had car problems, and she was just beside herself. But Pat is, she's had a lot of physical problems, but she's doing much better. And she was going to be here today, so I said, well, you know what? We'll let Heidi pinch it for you. We'll remember you, and we'll see you on Memorial Day. So keep Pat in your prayers. She's a wonderful lady. And 34 years ago, she was with Congressman Moorhead's office, and she helped so much getting the names for our Vietnam plaque and the Korean War memorial. Both the memorials, she helped get us the names, and we did a very wonderful ceremony on that day. Excuse me. And I know Veterans Day is a day of celebration. You know, it's for all the vets, and I can remember getting phone calls from my dad, you know, saying it's our day today, and I'll never forget that. You know, I was really proud that my dad served, and I'm proud that I'm a veteran. But I'm mostly proud of my relatives who served from the Civil War all the way through Desert Storm. So, and I know a lot of you are in the same boat. So, are there any? I know we have some first responders here today. Burbank Fire Department. And if there are any police officers here today, thank you both. Burbank Police and Burbank Fire, you're the best. You have a tough job, to say the least. And like I said, today's a day of celebration, but I'd be remiss in not remembering a few people who have passed on. The first lady I want to remember is Paulette Westfall. She was a longtime Burbank Community Band member and director. She loved coming to these ceremonies, and very patriotic lady and a heart of gold. So let's remember Paulette today. She was with us last year. So. And also a colleague of mine on the Veterans Committee and a Korean War vet, Christopher Thomas, recently passed on, so we remember him today. His wife Maggie is here. Maggie, welcome. Chris is sorely missed by everybody. He was a Renaissance man. And also a fellow Vietnam vet, Doug Swanson, who was a big supporter of our VFW 8310, Purple Heart recipient, Vietnam. He passed on recently, so God bless you, Dave. And a VFW auxiliary member whose family had a proud military heritage, Parker Pennings. We're doing a celebration of life for Parker this coming Sunday at the VFW at 12 noon. So if you can come by if you knew Parker. One of the nicest human beings you ever want to meet. He contributed a lot to the welfare of our veterans. And the only guy that I kept in touch with in Vietnam for over 50 years, the only person I ever kept in touch with, he's a farmer from Minnesota, salt of the earth guy, and we served together in Vietnam. Sergeant John Nelson, he passed on from pancreatic cancer. So I'm lucky to serve with him. And now, on a more happy note, we have some special guests here today, to say the least. First off, I want to mention Mr. Bill Dillon. Bill? World War II. You can see Bill if you want, on Mondays at Wings Over Wendy's out in West Hills or Woodland Hills. Woodland Hills. He's out there every Monday. And Dennis McCarthy wrote a great article just recently in the Daily News. I don't know if you read Dennis McCarthy, but his articles are great. They're very inspirational. And he's written a lot of things about veterans. And so, welcome, Bill. And Bill served in the Pacific Theater for 33 months. And he was on a submarine. And he was telling me today that the submarine all alone sunk an aircraft carrier. Just that his submarine. So, way to go, Bill. And I have another World War II veteran here who will turn 100 in December. Wow. Let's welcome Theodore Napolitano. Welcome, Theodore. God bless. And last, but certainly not least, another World War II veteran, Barney P. Leone. Welcome, Barney. He also served in the Asiatic Pacific Theater, and he was on a ship which was a fuel tank ship. He watched, and this is history here. He watched as young Marines landed on the beach of Iwo Jima and marched into a horrific fight. He witnessed that. That's history right there, folks. And then, as he watched with his gun loaded to protect his fuel ship, he saw the American flag go up and started yelling to others on the ship, "That's our flag! That's our flag!" Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today, gentlemen. And now I'd like to invite to the podium the Honorable Jess Talamantes, Mayor of the City of Burbank.
Is this a beautiful day or what, huh? Wonderful. The flyover was awesome. We got it times 2. So good morning on behalf of the Burbank City Council. I am honored to be here with you. Today we come together as a community to pay tribute to the men and women who have fought so bravely, sacrificed, and served to protect the peace and freedom of our great nation. You know, not all vets that are currently in the service are fighting. Some of the vets are back in the office doing all the paperwork, so they have to be recognized as well, because that's part of the effort. They work as a team. So at this time, I'd like to recognize a few city officials and elected officials. We have United States Congressman Adam Schiff. We have California State Senator Anthony Portantino. He recently became a Burbank resident, by the way. My colleagues on the council, we have Vice Mayor Constantine Anthony, Councilmember Nick Schultz, and Councilmember Sharon Springer. Also, our city manager, Justin Hess, is here. And our interim communications manager in charge of the PIO office, Jonathan Jones, is here. And we have one member of the Park and Recreation Board, Barry Gussa. Barry, are you here still? There he is, right there. So at this time, I'd like to ask Miki DiPaolo to come back to the podium and continue with the program. Thank you, everybody.
And now I'd like to introduce Heidi Marie Farron to sing the song Eyes of a Soldier. Heidi?
Thank you all so much for having me here today. This is actually a song I wrote. I was the last and longest reigning Miss USO, so I performed for the military all over the world, and this song is inspired by real people that I met while serving, and I'm so excited to share it with all of you today. Thank you all for your service to this country. My granddad told me all the best stories. World War II, fighting for a glory, the red, white, and blue. He'd do it again too. Always dressed to the nines, though his suit hid much more. A white necktie covering the brace he wore when they broke his back on the bamboo stacks. A hero undercover, doing all for the sake of another. You gave me sweet liberty, some gave all, that's why we're free. But there are scars we cannot see running deep, so deep. You never know what the eyes of a soldier holds. I wrote in to sing a sweet little song, commemorate the day that's won. Dance around, give a smile, celebrate the war that's done. He danced with me, though I could tell it hurt. His body and heart, they'd both been burned. My eyes fighting tears, just to tell him thanks. A hero undercover, doing all for the sake of another. And you gave me sweet liberty, some gave all, that's why we're free. But there are scars we cannot see running deep, so deep. You never know what the eyes of a soldier holds. He stood at the mic with his dog Jones, and a confidence that rocked my soul to hear him say how scared he was. One explosion, now he hears it every night. All the drugs in the world couldn't make it right. A warrior outside, inside he's terrified. The desert never left. We live our lives and soon forget. The war is never done. But you gave me sweet liberty, some gave all, that's why we're free. But there are scars we cannot see running deep, so deep. But you gave me sweet liberty, some gave all, that's why we're free. There are scars we cannot see running deep, so deep. You never know what the eyes of a soldier holds. No, you never know what the eyes of a soldier holds.
Thank you, Heidi. That was wonderful. Let's have another nice hand for Heidi. Thank you, Heidi. Thanks for being here today. Before I reintroduce Mayor Talamantes, this is one of Jess's last official duties as a mayor and a city council. He's going to be retiring off city council, and I know I'm speaking for everybody when I thank Jess not only for his service on city council for several years, but also for his first responder. He was worked with the Burbank Fire Department for several years. So what you've done, Jess, you've walked the walk. You've contributed to our city in a real wonderful way, and thank you for that. And we wish you the best, you and Sandy and your family. And I mentioned about the Scouts being our youth that come and get involved in our ceremonies. And I'd be remiss if I had to mention every year, Memorial Day and Veterans Day, Coach Bob Hart of the Burbank Bulldogs always brings his team down here. So fellas, stand up back there. Burbank High Bulldogs. Okay, now I'd like to reintroduce the Honorable Mayor Jess Talamantes.
Good morning, everyone. I guess there's an alarm going off. Anyway, Mickey just mentioned that I had 33 years on the fire department, Burbank Fire, and I'm finishing up 13 and a half years on the city council. So it's been a while, more than half of my lifetime. Just to add on to the Boy Scouts, Troop 219, I was a proud founding member of Troop 219. And I'm sorry, 209. I'm still looking at the script. 209. So much for being a founding member. And one of the Eagle Scouts, I don't know if anybody else is here from 209 that has left the troop, but my son Scott is here. He's an Eagle Scout from 209. And I know Paul attended his Eagle Scout Court of Honor. And my other son, Eric, is also an Eagle Scout from Troop 209. So I'm very proud of that. So on behalf of the Burbank City Council, I would like to thank you for attending today's ceremony. The veterans of this country deserve respect not only today, but every day. It is important for us to reflect on the sacrifices and commitments of all those who have so greatly served our nation in the United States military. You can hear the dog agrees. Let us honor our veterans who proved their dedication to the United States, as well as their belief in the American way of life. Today, we would also like to express our appreciation for the family members and friends who provide strength and support through their loved ones serving in the armed forces. We can't forget their significant others, family. They have to be very supportive while the members are gone serving out of the country or elsewhere within the country. Our nation will always be grateful for the noble sacrifices made by veterans throughout the country. As family members and community members, let us always support our veterans and those currently serving the United States of America's armed forces. Once again, the City Council and the Burbank Veterans Committee thanks each of you for attending today's ceremony. I'd now like to recognize the Burbank Veterans Committee. Let me tell you a little bit about the Burbank Veterans Committee has worked diligently since its inception to plan our veterans events each year. I would now like to ask the members of the Burbank Veterans Committee to stand so we can acknowledge their work and thank them for their dedication to ensure that the sacrifices of America's heroes are never forgotten. Please stand. Thank you for all your work putting these events together, Memorial and Veterans Day. At this time, I would like to invite our elected officials to the podium to say a few words. Representing California's 28th District, United States Congressman Adam Schiff. Mr. Congressman?
Thank you so much, Mayor. It's a delight to be with you all, and let me begin by thanking all of the veterans who are present for their incredible service to the country. And I want to acknowledge the Burbank Veterans Committee for your incredible work in putting these events together for our whole community, and Mickey DiPaolo. Mickey, it is so wonderful to have you back, although the reality is you never left us. And we are so grateful for all that you've done for the city of Burbank, and my gratitude also extends to our mayor. What is it now? 46 years of service combined between the fire department and the city council. 46 years, almost half a century of service to the city of Burbank. Please, let's have another round of applause for our mayor. And wonderful to see our fabulous state senator, Anthony Portantino, who does such a great job representing us in Sacramento. I've mentioned before when I've had the chance to speak with you on Veterans Day that the most inspiring part of my work is the opportunity to visit our service members around the world. And I just wanted to begin by sharing a recent visit I had. I accompanied the speaker on the first congressional delegation to Ukraine during the war. And prior to going into the country, we met with the 82nd Airborne Division. Any members of the 82nd Airborne here? Well, thank you for your service. And you'll be proud to know that the 82nd Airborne Division is playing an absolutely vital role in both the training and the supply of Ukrainian forces. And I got to see what that operation entails, and you may all be aware generally of the extent of the military support that we're providing to Ukraine. But that support really comes down to individuals that are providing the material and, most importantly, the training to be able to use some of these very complex systems. Some of the most effective munitions we've given the Ukrainians have been these multiple launch rocket systems, which you might hear referred to as HIMARS. And, you know, credit first goes to the Ukrainian people who are fighting with extraordinary courage and great determination. I mean, they're up against one of the most powerful militaries in the world, and they are performing with nothing short of the most incredible heroism. But I want to acknowledge also the role of our own forces who have helped train them for this fight and continue to provide the training they need to defend themselves against the Russian aggressors. I also want to acknowledge our intelligence community, which is providing real-time intelligence to Ukraine to enable them to identify the location of the enemy and defend their sovereignty and territorial integrity. And to our State Department officials all around the world who have done so much to galvanize the rest of the world to come to the aid and support of Ukraine and sanction Russia for its war crimes and its invasion of its neighbor. So I want to acknowledge the extraordinary work of our service members in that incredibly important conflict. I also bring you today greetings from my favorite veteran, my father Ed, who is 94 years old and a veteran of the Army, served in the Army in the mid-1940s. He was just in the hospital for 3 weeks, so please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He's out of the hospital and doing rehab, but it's going to be a long road back. And he raised his two sons to have just the greatest respect and veneration for our armed forces and everyone who serves in them. So I'm thinking a lot about my dad today. Finally, I want to mention some good news from the Congress, and I know that sounds like an oxymoron. But we passed on a bipartisan basis one of the most significant bills in terms of our veterans in many, many years to address a real problem that some of you here may have experienced, and that is if any of you served in close proximity to a burn pit, you know just how toxic they are. And you know the long-term health consequences that can result as a consequence of serving near a burn pit. And We passed legislation just a couple months ago to create a presumption that if service members served during different periods of time in different conflicts, that they had proximity to burn pits, and therefore certain illnesses that are often accompanied by that exposure will be presumed to have been the result of that exposure. And so our veterans will now get much better care as a result. We also expanded healthcare benefits for those exposed to Agent Orange during Vietnam. And so we've taken some very important steps to provide veterans with the care, the health care that they have earned on the battlefield. Finally, just to conclude, I want to thank all of you once again for your extraordinary service to the country. It really is an honor to be in your presence, and how wonderful to have some of our World War II veterans, many of our Korean and Vietnam veterans, Persian Gulf veterans, veterans of Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and other conflicts here with us today. My respect goes out to all of you, our undying gratitude. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Now representing District 25, California Senator Anthony Portantino. And Burbank resident.
So in addition to thanking the mayor for all of his long dedication to Burbank, I'm very pleased that he signed my permission slip to move here. So thank you for that. I've been coming to this program for about 10 years. This is the first time as a Burbank resident, so I'm very proud to be here. So thank you. And I want to join with Congressman Schiff and Mickey in thanking Mayor Talamantes for his service. Let's give him a big round of applause. That's a long time to serve a great community. And I want to give a shout out to Congressman Schiff, who just represents us so well as well. So let's give a big round of applause for Congressman Schiff for his service. And Mickey DiPaolo is incomparable. I love the fact that he's Italian and a Burbankian, so I love that. But let's give a big round of applause for Mickey DiPaolo and his service to Burbank as well. And I do have to say, Paul, you look great for 247 years old for the Marines. Doesn't Paul McKenna look good for turning 247 as a proud Marine? So thank you for your service. And it's always good to see Gary Brick. And, I think, you'd mentioned your brother's passing over 50 years ago in Vietnam. It must be always difficult for you and for every family member who sent somebody off to war who didn't come back. So please, let's say a prayer, a silent prayer for all of those men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice on this day. So if we could just take a moment to appreciate the fallen. Thank you. And if you're sitting next to a veteran, say thank you. Take a moment and say thank you, because as Mickey said, this is a celebration on Veterans Day. We say thank you and we appreciate the fallen, but we also have to appreciate those men and women who have come back. Ronald Reagan said something about veterans that struck me. He said, some people live an entire lifetime and wonder if they've made a difference in the world. But a veteran doesn't have that problem. They know they made a difference. And so, that to me says why we're here today, to thank those folks who make a difference so we can enjoy this beautiful sunshine in this day. My dad was a veteran of World War II. And I remember as a little kid in the 70s asking my mom why he never spoke about the war. He never talked about it. And she explained to me, she said, veterans and soldiers just serve. They don't brag, they don't talk about it, they just did their duty. They don't come home and they don't sit around the kitchen table and talk about it because they were expected to serve and they did their duty. And I always, deeply appreciated that aspect of my dad, that he just served in World War II and was in the Army and landed 2 weeks after D-Day. Now, the only story he would tell was how much he hated mutton. And so my mother was forbidden to make lamb because when he was stationed in England post or pre-D-Day, that's all they ate every day was mutton, and they smelled it in all different ways, and so he hated mutton. So that was the only war story he talked about. And again, when my mother would make lamb, my father would have to leave the house so we could have a leg of lamb on occasion. So that sort of tells you about the spirit of veterans. You know, they love our country, they serve our country, they don't brag about it, they just do it. And so, thank you. I'm here to say thank you from the bottom of my heart as a 61-year-old American who lived through the prosperity that you all fought for, from World War II through Korea to Vietnam, through all of the conflicts that Congressman Schiff talked about. My family gets to enjoy that because of your service and because of your sacrifice. And so there's another great quote that struck me as I was thinking about what to say today. It says, "America without her soldiers would be like God without angels." America without soldiers would be like God without angels. So veterans, you are our angels. You are our angels. You are our defenders. You are on the front lines of the peace and liberty that we hold dear. So thank you, and thank you for letting me be part of this today.
I was remiss not to mention two former mayors that are in the audience. Former Mayor Ramos is back there. Marcia Ramos, yes, thank you very much. And former Mayor Gary Brick is right here. Thank you. So I'd like to thank the speakers for coming and joining us today. I know it's a busy schedule for all the elected officials because they're being pulled in all different directions. Ceremonies begin at 11 o'clock. They can't put it off for 12 or start it early, some of them. So it's been, you know, the 11th month of the 11th day of the 11th hour. So that's why it's held November 11th at 11 a.m. So once again, I want to thank you. Like it was said, this will be my last, obviously, Veterans Day or Memorial Day ceremony as an elected official. So I want to thank the community for all their support and the veterans for all their support, especially the Veterans Committee for putting this together year after year after year, and Mickey DiPaolo for leading the wave. So thank you. Okay, Mickey, you're up.
You know, another gentleman that I just spotted today, and he was really huge when we had the Vietnam Memorial Moving Wall come to Burbank February 16th through the 22nd in 1998. Probably several of you were here, and it was a rainy, cold week, but every time we had a opening, closing ceremonies, the sun came out, and then here came the rain. And the Vietnam, the monument over there, that was where the apex of the wall was. And Mary Arvord, who was our Park and Recreation Director at the time, and our city manager was Mr. Bud Overham. And Bud, if you're here, just give us a wave. He came and told us, I don't care what it takes, what the expense is, we're going to make this the best presentation of a moving wall that any city's ever had, and he made it happen. So thanks, Bud. Thanks for your support. And keep up the pickleball. If you guys haven't played pickleball yet, got to try it. You got a lot of ambassadors here today, and they're even as old as I am, and they're still playing. So that says something. And one other thing, we have Raising Cane's here today that is going to be giving away free samples. And they only thing they ask is let the vets get in front. So any of you veterans, save a place for me, okay? And also Porto's is giving away free boxes of pastry to all veterans. So go get in line. And now for the benediction by David Christ.
Let's bow our heads. Lord, as we leave today in honoring our veterans, we ask you to heal our country. We continue to ask there will be peace in our world. We give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, David. And now, Amazing Grace by the Burbank Community Band, followed by Taps.
Please be seated. I'd like to mention 3 people in my family that I've failed to recognize for their service. My father-in-law, Pat Boydler, served in the Navy. He passed away last year. My brother, Louis, who served in the Air Force. And my son-in-law, David Machuca, who served in the Coast Guard. So I just want to mention them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. And before we adjourn, so to speak, for today, I want to, without the city of Burbank, the city council, our elected officials, without these city staff, these ceremonies wouldn't happen. They are so supportive and do such a hard, they work hard as it is. It's just an extra thing on their plate. And I want to thank, number one, the Burbank Park and Recreation, our Parks Department, who every day works on these rose gardens. And I was here the other day, we had our committee members, we were cleaning the memorials, and one of the employees was down here, and I thanked him for the pride he takes in keeping up the rose garden. He said, well, funny you should say that. A veteran came here the other day and gave us a challenge coin, and we have it in their office up there where they have they keep their equipment. So that's a veteran that pays it forward. So, but let me mention the city employees: Diego Savalos, Catherine Labrado, Jenny Griffin, and Dave Mudgett, who are liaisons with our Veterans Committee, and they just do yeoman's work. They really are support what we do. Anthony Paleo, Rosa Rodillo, Gianni Rosati, and Chris Chan. Thank you all so much for being here today and helping out. And I think the alarm's going off. That means they're going to try to get me off up here. So thank you all for coming today. I hope to see each and every one of you at every ceremony from here on out. We'll see you on Memorial Day, that last Monday in May. And thank you for the opportunity to stand before you, as and all my brothers and sisters who you make me very proud to say that I'm a veteran, and I'm proud of it. And thanks for all your support and your brother and sisterhood. It's very much appreciated. And if any of you want to volunteer in the community, get out and show them what a veteran can do. That we just don't sit on our laurels. We get out in the community and we serve and we continue to serve others. So if you need any volunteer opportunities, come to me. I'll tell you all sorts of things you can do. It's a very fulfilling endeavor. And God bless each and every one of you. And we will see you soon. Have a great rest of the day.
The Burbank Band would also like to thank everybody for your support and these given times for us. We're going to play a chaser march for you as you proceed on out and your merry way. Have a great Veterans Day. And also the Burbank Community Band will be playing a Christmas concert on December 18th. It's a Sunday at First Christian Church. So that's what our next gig is. So come on out and join us. Have a great day.
Thank you, Burbank Community Band. And we also have Veterans Day celebration at the BFW, 1006 West Magnolia, and also at the Burbank Elks on Hollywood Way, so stop by, all veterans. We need the Veterans Committee up here too, folks. All the Veterans Committee members, come on up.